Hey, hope this is a little bit better. If you're out there, please let me know you're out there just so I can make sure that the video is displaying. I can hear and I can see it, the stream is on. I'm just not able to hear anybody. So please do type a comment. Let me know you're out there just so that I know. And again, so sorry for the technical difficulties. Hopefully you're able to hear me and see me this time around. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to make a wreath today, and we have puppies in mind. So we have some ribbons that have the dog bone and the paws. Very cute. There's about an inch ribbon. We have the gray to go with our mesh. And then we have this other ribbon with the white and black. And we have the bones and the paw as well. Just some pretty ribbon to put on our wreath. And this is the mesh we're using, just in case you weren't with us before. We have the burgundy with the shimmer. It's metallic, so you're able to see the little shining on it. And then we have this stripe one that has the burgundy, the white, the gray, and the black, all in stripes. So we're going to be making some ruffles and going throughout. So I'm going to change the view of the camera and we're going to go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so here we go. So I have the wreath form. Let me go ahead and get the mouse out of the way. Have the wreath form already going with the chenille stems or pipe cleaners. And these are just about 4 inches apart. Now, if you have the wreath forms that already come with the stems already attached, that's even better. But if you don't, you are able to use just these stems and chenille stems and just put them 4 inches apart. We do the second rim. We always leave the outer rim empty. We use the second rim, and then we use the inner rim to do them. And it's 18, usually 10 on your outer and 8 on your inner. And that is just as a rule of thumb, just to help us with counting, since sometimes like today we're doing ruffles, so you would need to know how many pieces to cut. And the same thing with the ribbons, you would need to know how many to cut. So that's why we try to come up with a see you. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So glad. Thank you for the confirmation. All right, so we're going to be making some ruffles. And I'll show you how I make those. And we're going to just alternate our colors. And here we go. So to make a ruffle, the main thing is to find our middle. So I always use my hands for that. So I put at the edge, I put my hands, and we're going to use our thumb here just to hold things in place. So your thumb pretty much stays there. We're just going to be pushing, and then our fingers are going to be doing the walking. So we're going to be holding it together, and we're just going to be walking our fingers and bringing it on in. And there's our ruffle. So I'm going to hold it on the opposite side so you can see what that looks like. So almost like a little butterfly, could look like a flower once it's put on the wreath itself. So what I'm going to do today, especially with the technical difficulties, just to save some time, this is the Bodabra. And I do have that. If you don't have one and you would like to purchase one, I do have an affiliate link underneath on the video where you could actually purchase that. And this is actually something you use to make bows, but you can, it's multi-purpose for me. So you can use it just to hold things together. And what I'm doing is just basically going to be putting our ribbon in at the same time before putting everything on the wreath, just to save a little bit of time. So I just find the happy middle and we're going to go ahead and scrunch on in. We're going to pinch on in just to gather it, and you could just run your fingers underneath the ribbon and it kind of gives it that form. And you find that same middle. So now you have everything put together, and you could just lift from there and go straight to your wreath form. Okay, and you can start on your outer or you can start on your inner, really doesn't matter. It's all based on your preference. And I'm just tightening it in just to make sure it's nice and tight. And then you spread your ruffle, and what you do is overlap your ends just so that it'll give it that rounded look. And you do that on your top and your bottom. And that kind of makes it more round. And then for your ribbon, you can decide if you want to do both to the top or both to the bottom, like so. Or if you want to alternate it, just kind of have it crisscross, depending on the look that you want to accomplish. Okay, Now these, at the end, once we're done, we can cut them or we can twist them up and hide them underneath. If you're going to put some embellishments on there, you could always leave it until the very end. Okay. Okay, doing the same thing again for our ruffle. Getting to our edge, using the thumb to find our middle. And we're just going to gather and walk it. And we're going to go to the next set of stems or pipe cleaners. I'm going to show you how to do it without the bow dabber. We're going to pull those stems apart and then twist. And then we're going to find our ends and bring them around so we can overlap them. That gives it that rounded look. And we're going to lift to make sure that the one next to it is not being crushed. We want to make sure that they're both lifted up. And we're going to do the same thing on the bottom here to lift and have it rounded. So you can do either or. Okay. Another thing you can do, depending on the type of mesh, like this is a mesh that was on sale. You can see it's kind of thin, and as I lifted, I kind of saw that you can kind of see through. So depending on the look and what you're trying to accomplish, you could always double up on your mesh. So I'm going to actually change that up a little bit, and we're going to see where we're at. We'll see. So we just did our gray and our small black ribbon, so we're going to be alternating. And I think I might do black, so we want to make sure we have our main one. This is our main one, so we're always going to be using our main one, and then we're going to be alternating between the gray and the small black one. Okay, same thing again. We're going to crunch, scrunch, pinch, and shape our ribbon. And this is what I meant with saving some time. If you do it all at one time, like on the bodabra, as you're holding it together, then you don't have to do this part because it's already been done. Okay, on the ribbon, I'm going to alternate. Since we already have this small one on this side and it's going down, I'm going to have it going up just to alternate around. Hello, Magua. Guess what I'm making? Was thinking of you. Can you see the paws? All right, making our ruffle. Okay, again, going with our palms to the edge, finding our middle with our thumb. Where's my pretty face? Oh, sweet. It's on one of the corners, top corner. I was trying to make sure we can see the project. Can you see me? All right. All right, alternating our ribbons. Finding our middle and scrunching. All right. Taking it back out of the bodabra. Now we have everything together. And we're going to get to that next chenille stem. We're just going to pull tight and twist. Glad you can see me. All right, finding our ends, we're going to overlap them so that way we can have that nice rounded look. We're going to do that on top and bottom. And then again, making sure that we're not squishing the one next to it, so we're going to lift that up. I'm going to make sure that they're pushing against each other. Okay, so we're going to find our main ribbon. We want to make sure we do our next one on the opposite side. So instead of leaving that one down, we're going to move it up so we can continue to alternate. Alrighty. Oh, still having trouble with the new phone. Might just take a little bit more just to get used to it. Usually takes a little bit. Alrighty. Using our Bodabra and switching our ribbon. Getting to our middle so we can scrunch it on in. And then running our fingers underneath gives it that nice curly look. Kind of looks like a little birdie. Alright, I'm going to just pull on up and find our chenille stem and do our next one. Basically doing the same thing all the way around. We're just alternating the Deco mesh and the ribbon so we can spread the love. Okay, making sure our ends overlap so we can have that rounded look, and making sure that the ones next to it, the ruffle, is not being squished. And now we're going to place our ribbons. Using our Bodabra again, and it's just helping it. It's usually used for bows again, to make bows, but hey, it's like having an extra set of hands, right? It can hold things together while we work on something. Comes in handy. So if you don't have one and you work on different arts and crafts, it's a good thing to have. Okay, so I'm just again pulling those chenille stems apart and then twisting just to make sure it's nice and tight. Then we're going to find our middle again, or ends rather, so we can get them to overlap. Okay, hope you can see that okay. And basically that just gives it that rounded look. Kind of makes it look like a flower, ruffled flower. And then we want to make sure that it's not squishing the one on the side of it. We're just going to pull them up. And make sure we do the same thing on the bottom. Now once we get to the inner side, it does get a little bit more difficult to do, simply because you're having to not only look on side by side, but also top and bottom. But it's not difficult. It's just takes a little bit more to get them in place. And this is what I mean. See if I can switch the... Okay, so we have this one on the side, and now we have this other one. We want to make sure that they're not squished, so we have to lift one and the other, kind of pull them apart, and then let them go at the same time, so they can kind of push each other up, and they're basically hold each other up instead of pushing each other. That's what we want. So that gives it that ruffled look, and it gives it that more full body. And then the stems we can cut when we're done, or we can cut them as we go. Either or. And I was reminded earlier that maybe I should use the different words for stems. So pipe cleaners is another word for those. Stems, chenille stems, pipe cleaners, just different ways to call them. Depends on where you go to get some. Okay, there's our ruffle. Okay, the other thing to do with when you're mix and matching or kind of alternating your ribbons, if you have the 2 or 2.5 size ribbon with a 1 inch or 1.5 ribbon. Whichever one has the lesser width is the one that you want on top, because you don't want to cover it up too much. So just another tip there. And then folding them just helps us find that middle, so we can make sure everything is as centered as possible when we transfer it on over to our wreath form. Again, just pulling apart to make it tight and then giving it a twist or two. Making sure that our neighbor on the side is not being squished while we bring our edges together to overlap. Okay, we want to do that on the top and the bottom. Okay, and then we can position our ribbons. Just gotta pull, since they're already curved or curled, not much to do there. We just want to make sure that they're positioned, again alternating. Since it's on the bottom here, we want it on the top on this end. Alright, let's get more mesh. Pretty burgundy. I hope you can see that shimmer. Can you see that shimmer? It's a metallic Deco mesh, so it gives it that little bit of a shine. Hello. I like how that's being said. Hello, all amazing people. Okay, again, finding our pipe cleaner, making sure we have everything placed right in the middle of them. And we're going to go in opposite directions so we can pull nice and tight and then twist. That way we can make sure it won't go anywhere. And we're gonna go ahead and have our ends of the mesh for our ruffle. We're gonna grab both of those and overlap them so they'll go all the way around. So it'll be more rounded. And we're going to do that on both top and bottom if it doesn't do it all on its own. Sometimes it does. And then again, we want to make sure it's not squishing its neighbor, that they're just holding each other up, lifting each other up there, being good neighbors. I don't know if you can see the shimmer on this one. It's also metallic, and this might actually look like it's see-through, but it's a light gray. So we have some gray in there, which is why we're bringing in that gray ribbon to make that give it a little bit of a pop. We have the burgundy, we have the white stripes and some black, so we can tie that in with the ribbon. There's our ruffle on our Bodabra. And if you haven't already done so while you're here joining me, please do give me a thumbs up if you're liking the tutorial. Do subscribe, and if you click on that little bell, it'll also send you notifications when we go live or upload a video. And subscribing will also help so that if you need to come back to the tutorial later, if you don't have the supplies with you, which are listed underneath on the bottom of the video. You can come back to it easier so you can work on the project later if you don't have the supplies with you right now. Okay, just overlapping our ends. Be nice and round, making sure that it's not squishing its neighbor. And overlapping the bottom again. Okay, and working on our ribbons. And I think so that you'll be able to see that a little bit better. I'm gonna move the mesh to the side. So it keeps getting in the way there. I like that better. Move these out of the way. There we go. Okay. We're gonna make sure our neighbor's not being squished. We're helping it stay up. Okay. And we're positioning our ribbons. And I mentioned earlier on the ribbons, we chose this one as our main ribbon. The small one with the paw and the bone, the dog bone. So since that one's already up on this side, we want to make sure it's down on this one. Since it's right next to it, we don't want to have the same ribbon. And that way we can alternate on that as well. Okay, I think this works out a little bit better. We'll have more room. Wreath and sign combo. Aw, save my pets. Oh, I love that. I might have to put that together. Thank you for the idea. I love that. Okay, alternating our ribbon. Again, making sure the smaller one is on top. And when finding your middle, doesn't have to be going up. You could always go down. Doesn't matter. It's just we want to make sure that they touch on top so we can find that middle. And then we're going to scrunch it on in on that same spot. We just confirmed this our middle so we can pinch it in. And then if you run your fingers, it doesn't matter if it's the thumb or which one, and just go into the bottom and just curl it. It gives it that little bit of a curl. Makes it look like a little birdie. But that way you're already that much further ahead of the game when it comes to shaping the ribbon. And again, just using the bow dowel brush just to do everything in one step. You can also just do the mesh first and then do the ribbons after. That's just a tip I wanted to show you so that way you can see how you could also save some time doing it that way. Okay, again, just pulling in opposite directions and twisting. Give it a couple of twists so it'll stay in place. And then for the ribbon, again, we just want to make sure we alternate. And I just noticed I should have done a gray one from what I can tell, but that's okay. There we go. Still looks good. All right, so then what I'm going to do, since we have, let's see, if I do gray and gray, I'll do a gray one on this one. And if it's not too late, we might go ahead and make the bow to go with it, since we don't have a sign to go with this one. And I just did that before doing the Deco mesh. Let's see here. All right, let's do our ruffle. And in case you're just joining in, to make our ruffle, we just position our hands to where we have the starting right at the edge, and we want our thumbs to be in the middle. And our thumb just basically use this, we just use it to push. We're going to use our fingers to do the walking. So we're just going to be moving our fingers and using the thumb to move the mesh until we gather it all in. Dogs, cats, birds. Oh yes, we have all sorts of pets. Okay. Love the ideas. Okay, so here now we got to make sure that all of our neighbors are going to be okay. So we want to make sure it's not squishing on the sides or the bottom. Okay, so this is how we would do without the Boldabra. We're going to go ahead and find our ends. We're going to overlap so that way it'll get rounded and we can pull it all around. Okay, and when we have the neighbor on the side of it, we'll have to make sure it doesn't get squished. And right now we want to make sure it doesn't squish the one on the other side here. So we're going to be lifting up. Okay, so we're going to overlap the corners, the edges, so it'll be nice and round, and then making sure that it's pushing up on the other but not squishing down. Okay, finding our middle with the ribbon, putting it on now. And we're going to alternate them. And that's going to look more and more full as we continue. I know the thing too, I like having some samples on the shop on Etsy. So there's a way to do a custom order. So I know you were mentioning about having the, one for the different animals, dogs, cats, and birds. We can normally put a couple of things on the shop, and if someone has an idea just like that, that maybe they like a wreath and the way it is, but they want maybe a different theme, like this one will be a dog theme, with the paw. It's a dog paw and dog bone. But they may want, like you said, like birds, so they can put in a custom order request for that, and we can make the arrangements to make that happen. It's another reason why I like having the shop on Etsy, because you can have the opportunity to put in a special request for a custom order and then just go from there. Because unfortunately we may not be able to have everything we would like to have on the shop, but I will continue to make new things and put them up. Okay, again, just pulling apart to make sure it's nice and tight, and then twisting to make sure it doesn't come loose. And we're going to find our edges to make sure they overlap. And we're going to pull them around. That makes it nice and round. We're going to do the same thing on the bottom side of it. Okay, and again, we want to make sure that it's not squishing the other ruffle. We want to make sure they help each other stay up and not squish each other. Okay, and then we can position our ribbons. Just give it a little tug. These are wired ribbons, so that helps to shape them up and move them where we want them. we did the burgundy, we should be on stripe now, which also has some burgundy. Okay, using our ruffle. And just using the bow dabber basically to hold it in place while we get our ribbons. We just did the main ribbon with the 2-inch ribbon, so now we know we gotta go to gray, still with our main ribbon. Finding our middle and just giving it a pinch so we can hold it in place. And then I'm just running my fingers under it to shape it. Give it that little bit of a curl. Okay, and we're just lifting from the bow dabber. Find our next set of pipe cleaners. Chenille stems to make sure we don't skip. I've done that plenty of times. So even if you end up skipping and then it's not in the right order, it's okay. It still looks good. And you could always undo it and go back to it as well. But really and truly, if that does happen when you're working on yours, please don't let that bother you. It really isn't as noticeable as you might think. Deco mesh is very forgiving. Okay, just finding our edges so we can go ahead and wrap it all the way around. Make sure it's nice and round for our ruffles. Making sure that we're not squishing the one next to it. And then when we do our ends on the other side, to make sure it's nice and round, we want to make sure it doesn't squish the one on the bottom of it, because now we're on a different row altogether. And when we do that, they push each other, but they kind of hold each other up instead of down. So it kind of gives it that big ruffle look, so it gives it that full look, which is what we want. Okay, so we know we had our black ribbon on this end, so we want to do the opposite end when we give it a tug and still shape. Okay, so we just did stripe. We should be on our burgundy. And as we cut these are cut at 30 inches. These are both 10-inch Deco mesh metallic. That's what gives it the shimmer. But I cut them at a 30-inch length. So it is 10 inches wide, but the length, it's 30 inches when I cut them. And I used my measuring board right here on the table. But if you don't have one, again, just like with the bow dabber, there is an affiliate link for that. If you want to get it online and have it shipped home so you won't have to go to the store to get it, you can do that. Whoop, not right. We're going back to our square one. Uh-oh. Okay, again, putting our smaller one on top so we can make sure we don't hide it. Finding our middle and scrunching at the end, curling. Okay, and I'm gonna lift it all together, still keeping it pinched there at the middle. And we're gonna find our next set of pipe cleaners, chenille stems, and do the same thing. And we're gonna go all the way around on the inner rim, just like we did on the outer rim. We're gonna do the same thing on the inner. Okay, again, just pulling them in opposite directions so we can give it a nice tug. So it'll be tight, and then we're gonna twist. Get to our edges, make sure they come all the way around, and we're gonna overlap them. the same thing on the bottom side. Sometimes by then it's already done it on its own, but if it hasn't, then you could just overlap them. And then while you're there, we can make sure that it's not pushing down on that bottom ruffle. Okay, and we're going to position our ribbons. Okay, you can already see how full it's looking. And before it was looking like, ooh, we might need more mesh. All right, don't fall off the table. Okay, going on with our ruffles. Oh, you can really see the stripes and the metallic there. Love it. Okay, finding our middle with our thumbs, and we're just gonna scrunch it, walk it on up, letting our fingers do the walking, so to speak. Okay, using our Bradabra to hold that together. And let's see, we did the square, so we're gonna go back to our gray. Finding our middle. There we go. I was looking for the mesh and it was on the Bradabra. Okay, getting to our next stem here. Making sure it's in the middle. Pulling in opposite directions so it's nice and tight, and then giving it a twist or two. And let's get to our edges, make sure they overlap. And not scrunch that bottom one. Don't want it to get squished. Or the side. So now we gotta think of both. Make sure that our side one is not being squished, nor our bottom. Okay, and then we're gonna position our ribbons. Just give them a little tug to split them up. Okay, looks like we have one or two more. I just did stripes. See? Ruffle, ruffle. Oh, looks like a little flower, butterfly. Okay, we're back to our square one. Putting our small one on top and finding our middle. So normally when I make something here on the YouTube channel, excuse me, if it's not already for someone, I put it on the Etsy shop. So you'll be able to find it there if you're interested on what I've made and want to purchase. This one, it's already spoken for, so it won't be on the Etsy shop, but if you do want something like it, again, you could do a custom order request for a wreath or a swag, and we can make the necessary arrangements to make that happen. And I might make another pet one, we'll see. Okay, just making our ends overlap, making sure our neighbor's not being squished on the left or on the bottom. Okay. And then we're going to position our ribbons once we overlap our bottom as well. That gives it that rounded look. Just make it look like a flower. Okay. And we've got some more. Don't forget, while you're here, there's also going to be a poll question that pops up. Let me know if you would like to see another wreath being made, or maybe some bows, a swag. And while you're there, please give me thumbs up. We call that showing some love. Thumbs up, subscribe, click on the bell. And also, we're part of I'm in a group for YouTubers, you know, for having success in YouTube. And we have a group, we take some classes together, and we help each other, and we motivate each other, and give each other ideas, and so on. So we do have some folks I would like for you to check out their channel. Linda with Wreaths by Linda is the name of the channel. She also has an Etsy shop, does some beautiful work. Please, 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 if you can, if you have some time, go on over to her channel and also show her some love on her channel. Subscribe, just like you're doing on mine. Once we get to 100 subscribers, which our goal is actually 1,000, but we have to kind of break down those goals. So when we get to 100 subscribers, we actually get a special link from YouTube, so it'll be easier for our customers, friends, and family to find our channel. So we'll have one especially for us. And then when we get to 1,000, which is our main goal, 1,000 subscribers, we actually get to do something that's called monetizing your channel. So we'll be able to actually, if our videos go viral, happen to go viral, we'll, you know, or as a lot of viewers, as we have more viewers, you know, 1,000 subscribers, maybe, you know, a few thousand hours of viewing, YouTube will give us a few cents for that, because we're basically seen as creators. So again, just making sure this is overlapping and not crushing the neighbor on either side of it or on the bottom. And then positioning the ribbons. Alrighty, and then our next one will be this one. I think we have one or two more. So we're going to go ahead and position the ribbon. We have some extra of that one, which is fine. Okay. As you get closer to the end of a mesh roll, the more curly it gets. So if you need to put something on top of it to stop it from rolling, of course you can definitely do that. Sometimes I use my phone, or like in this case, I'm about to use my Bodabra just to keep it from curling over. And again, to make the ruffle, if you're just joining, we're just going to find our middle with our thumbs. And the thumbs basically stays there, it just kind of walks it up, and the fingers do the walking. So the thumbs themselves don't do anything else. And we're just scrunching it Removing it as we need to. Okay. And our fingers do the walking to kind of gather the Deco mesh. And then in that, we find that middle. And since we're going to be placing our ribbons on there as well, we can go ahead and put it on our bodaver. And let's see, we had our gray, so we're going to go to our other set of ribbons. Finding our middle. And we're going to scrunch it. So I guess since we're doing a wreath with a theme for our furry animals, our dogs, our puppies, maybe we should learn that word for dog in Spanish. What do you think? Do you like that idea? So dog in Spanish, and may have to practice rolling your R's if you don't already do so, is perro. Perro. So it's P-E-R-R-O. There's your little Spanish lesson for tonight. Okay. Again, we're going to find our edges. So make sure they overlap. Bring them all the way around and overlap them. That gives it that rounded look on the ruffle. And I mentioned earlier it gets a little bit more, per se, difficult, but not really. Just because there's more material, so you have to kind of play with it a little bit more. Make sure that it's not squishing on either side. So we want to lift and lift to make sure it's not squishing. And then we have to do the same thing. Now if I turn it around, because now we got to gather here on the bottom end, finding our edges, bringing them around to overlap so they'll be rounded. And now we got to make sure it's not squishing the ones here on the bottom. So we want to make sure they lift each other up. Kind of like we should lift each other up, right? Help each other out, not step on one another. Okay, and if you find your ends weren't fully overlapping while you're there, just go ahead and fix them up. So we want to make sure everything is holding each other up on all the different mesh. Okay, nice and full. We have some burgundy, some gray, some white, and some black. So just kind of spinning it so you can see all the way around. Excuse me. And I'm going to get my wire cutters. And we're going to go ahead and cut the extra chenille stems since we're not using them for anything. Now, another thing that you could do while you're here, if you want to give it more body, or if you want to have more of a fluff, you can put at the end of the chenille stems or the pipe cleaners, you could put the styrofoam bowls. And I have some here, so I'll show you what I mean. Just I know sometimes my accent kicks in. So they have these styrofoam bowls in different sizes, different colors. And I normally just kind of throw them here in this basket. And if you have the matching ones, you could actually add that in and just kind of attach it to the end of that. So if you want to give it more of the white or more of the gray, more of the black, depending on what look you're looking for. And they just basically, if you hold it towards the end, and then you just push on in since it's styrofoam. And then you can shape it, you can leave it, you can curl it. It's up to you. And you could do it on both ends, do a small or a big one, because they come in different sizes. There's a small one right here, so I'll do that so you can see what it looks like. Okay. So it just gives it a little bit more of a shape. If you want to add a little bit more of an embellishment to it, if you're not hot gluing anything or using flowers or a sign. I find if we have like peepholes, you know, those magic eyes on our doors, sometimes it's better to not have anything here in the middle, because that way you'll be able to see through it, still put it on your door as a display, and you'll be able to look through that magic eye and see who's knocking on your door or ringing your doorbell. So just something else to think of. But You could leave the stems, the pipe cleaners, and use them, you know, to put stuff at the end just to kind of give it more shape, or you can cut them off. I'm gonna actually, since I'm making this for someone I love, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna ask her what you prefer, and then we'll finish it up after the video. But this is basically it. Just wanted to show you the little tip on that. And then if you're not using the pipe cleaners any further, if you're not putting any other embellishments on it, you can just cut them off with a wire cutter. My accent just kicked in. The wire cutters are also listed on the supplies on the bottom of the video. In case you don't have one, there is a link there, on my affiliate link, that you can click on to purchase the actual wire cutter. Same as my cutting board and my Rotary cutters and pretty much everything I used here today, along with the list of what you need to make this wreath. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And again, I apologize for any technical difficulties we had earlier. And if there are any questions at all, just leave me a comment. I do check back on the comments of the videos. I'm going to go ahead and just change the view so you can see me a little bit better now that we're done with the project. There we go. Hello. So here is our wreath. And again, if any questions, just leave me a comment. I'll come back and check on the comments periodically so I can answer any questions you may have. And thank you. So glad you like it. And we'll go ahead and touch base again soon. Again, I'll be back on Friday, next Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time. So please come back and join us. Share the video. Let others know to come and join us and subscribe and give us thumbs up. We need the love to be shared. So share some love. And thanks again for being here with me today. I'm very glad you're here. Until next time, stay safe and stay liquid. Bye-bye.